Hello, hello, good morning. It's Monica from Life is Art, and this is the Saturday 10 a.m. technique at the epic 90s birthday celebration online crop. And I'm just getting everything posted into the event so that everybody can find us and be here when we get started with the crafting. I'm just focusing my camera or trying to. It doesn't always work, but we do our best. And if you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can say replay. Good morning, Deborah. I see you're up bright and early, ready for the day of crafting ahead. Good morning, Mom. And Robin's here. Hello, hello. Ooh, you've been crafting since 6 o'clock this morning. That's exciting. Yep. Can't sleep in. Back to work. Yeah, that happens. That's what's going to hit our house on Monday. Julie will be back to school, Sean will be back to work, and Joshua will be starting college. And so it's going to be a whole new schedule, and I'm sure it's going to have some few aches and pains of getting on track. Hey, Heather, nice to see you're watching. Okay, so this morning we are going to do a technique where we are going to create, I'm not sure if you'd call it a mini album, but we're going to create sort of an item of paper crafting that can be used as standalone, as like a little travel journal, or it can be used as part of a larger album or mini album, or it can be used as a gift. There's lots of different things. It's sort of, I'm calling it a quarter fold folio, something like that. Not really a folio, but you'll see when it happen. You'll see when it happens. It's kind of one of those interesting types of projects. Heather says she just rolled out of bed. Good morning, Allison. Nice to see you're watching as well. So we are going to be using today for this project, we are going to be using the Skylark collection, which if you've been around Close to My Heart for a while, you will recall it from many years ago because this is a current special. It's called a Bring Back Your Pack. And so this was one that was often requested for Close to My Heart to bring back. So they have brought back Skylark. It's been available for a little while, and I think it's available to the end of January. It's a fun vintagey vibe. It's got sort of that mixed media feel, and but they've updated the colors. So the green is the new Limeade. There's new Jade. There's let me see, Lagoon, Shortbread, Toffee, all those kinds of good colors in this collection. And so that is lovely that they update the colors. If you were around when the original was available, you may have got the stamp set. And the stamp set is identical to what it was when it was first out, brand new. And so if you've already got that stamp set, you don't need to purchase it again. But there's a sticker sheet, which was not part of the original. Let me just bring that in here. It's got some lovely motifs and words and all sorts of good things on there. And I like the number of like little tags and things. And that really works in well with the project that we're going to do today. So we're going to call this a quarter fold pocket folio. How's that sound? That'll be our official name. We're going to start out with a piece of pattern paper for the base of this, which is kind of unusual. Usually you think about creating some sort of insert or something, or a little mini album folio, and you start out with cardstock. But we're going to be starting with the pattern paper as our base because it just folds really nicely, and the pattern paper is pretty sturdy. Robin says she loves Skylark. You have to get some more. Yep. I actually have some of the original Skylark. I may have used it all now, but I remember having it. And so the first thing that we're going to do, good morning, Ina, is we're going to do some scoring on this piece of paper. The first score line we want to make Did I even give you the dimensions for this? I don't think I did. It's 12 inches by 9 inches, and I actually cut it from the top part of this page because I love this beautiful little flag, beautiful memories, this cute bird that's here. And so that I picked this particular piece of paper just for that. And then let's line it up here. So we're going to be scoring along the 9-inch side. And we're going to make only one score line, and that's at the 6-inch mark. So using our Versamat, we're going to line up at 6 inches and make a nice score line all the way across. Easy peasy, 6 inches. Then we're going to go back to our 12-inch side here. We're going to line it up, and you probably figured out from the fact that I said it was going to be a quarter fold that we're going to fold this and make 4 panels. So we're going to be scoring at 3, 6, and 9. So here we go. First one, lining up at the 3-inch. Now if you have a scoreboard, you can easily use that. And then 6-inch and 9-inch. And I probably should have scored on the opposite side because you know the rule about scoring and folding on the bump side. I probably should have scored this on the back side, but it's okay. It's not cardstock, so it's not quite as heavy. All right, so our first fold that we want to do is our first score line, which was this one here across the bottom at the 6-inch line. And I always find when you're folding on a score line, it helps to go past the score line and then kind of roll your paper back, and it will just automatically land on that score line. So if you ever need help, that's a good technique to get to your score line, especially when you're doing it like me without a scoreboard. So there's not necessarily a definitive line on the backside that you can see. So now we've created a little folded up part like this. The next step we want to do is to fold in half on this 6-inch score line. So we're going to just take our whole piece and fold it over. And this is where it helps to be using pattern paper for this as opposed to cardstock, because cardstock would get very bulky. So we're folding it in half, and we're using our bone folder or the handle of our scissors to give it a good crisp crease. Okay, so now we've created sort of a single fold. What we want to do now is to fold on these 3 and 9-inch score lines. But to do that, we're actually going to fold it back on itself. No, we're not. We're going to take this center line and we're going to fold it the other way. Just had a brain fart moment. It doesn't matter if it's folded both ways. That's called a universal fold in the world of origami. It just makes sure that your joints can fold nicely. Unlike my joints, they don't fold nicely at all. So we folded it backwards like that. We created a mountain fold in that center line. Now we're going to fold on the 3-inch and the 9-inch score lines, folding forward so that our outside edge meets this center fold here. Like that. And we should be able to follow our score lines. But just in case your score lines are a little off, you can adjust before you crease down. I always like to do that because I'm not using a scoreboard. So my scoring can often be a little bit wonky. So now we've got our mountain fold in that center. We've got our valley fold. And we're going to come over here to the 3-inch line and we're going to fold it forward again, creating another valley fold. And all together, those valley mountain valleys create an accordion. So we could call this accordion fold pocket folio. So there we go. Now you can see we've got that valley, mountain, valley. And we have created sort of a front and a back. That's what reminded me that by folding it forward to begin with was not going to create that nice front and back that I want. Okay, so that is the base for this. And now it's just up to the decorating and also the attaching, because this pocket here is not attached at either end. You could leave it open like that, but if you put some stuff in there, it might fall out. Now these two center ones, just simply by having those folds on either side, they sort of already have a closure, per se, I guess. But let's do a little bit of decorating. The first thing I want to do is to add a lovely zip strip from this collection. And if we're thinking about using this as maybe a little travel journal, or a place to keep tickets and a little ephemera from a journey, then I think these little arrows all pointing off to one direction kind of is a nice touch towards that sort of feeling of travel. So let's go ahead and adhere this down all the way across. And some adhesive. I'm going to take the backing off. And the good thing is, if you took this on a trip and you filled it up with all sorts of little things you didn't want to lose, you know, ticket stubs and little maps and things, then when you got home, you could use it as part of a bigger album. And one thing I was thinking is, if you had, because this ends up being 3 by 6 in size, if you had a 4 by 6 flip flap, you could put a flip flap on the front of a layout and tuck this whole folio right inside. So now we've gone all the way across, and I did leave a little sort of 1/8 of an inch gap from the top of that pocket. And then we can go ahead and just crease that down again, because that zip strip needs to have creases in it as well. Do it on both sides. Make sure everything closes up nicely. And then let's add a little bit of decorating to the front of our little folio here. So we're going to do a little bit of decorating on here. And we're actually going to do a back side as well. So for that, we're going to use 2 pieces of cardstock, and this will help give a little bit more structure to the front and the back of this. So as you're traveling or as you're collecting items in it, it can take a little bit more because it's a little bit sturdier. So these have been cut to 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. We're going to, let me see, we're just going to go ahead and adhere the back one just as is. And this is the Limeade cardstock, and I'm using the lighter side of the Limeade so that it's got a little bit paler look, which is nice if you want to do any writing on here. You could jot down notes as you're traveling. You could stick a photo on here and then write a little bit of journaling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the back cover, and I'm going to center this on the back. I'm going to try to, anyway. That's the hope. And there's not going to be a lot of clearance. We're going to get that stuck down there. It looks lovely with that pattern paper. And now for the front, I want to do a little bit of stamping. And you remember I was showing you this stamp set, and I think this live in the moment kind of creates a nice title for this little project. So I've got it loaded up here in my MISTI because it's kind of a chunky kind of stamp, and so it may take me a couple stamps to get the coverage that I want. So using your stamp platform helps with that. I'm going to bring in one of the coordinating colors. Again, I'm using the Limeade cardstock, same size, and as before, the 2 7/8 by 5 7/8. I think that's what it was. And Lagoon is one of the coordinating colors for this collection. And so we're going to go ahead and ink up this stamp. It's a fairly new stamp, so I probably should have seasoned it a little bit, but I've used it a couple times, so hopefully it will go okay. And at least with our stamp platform, we can stamp it a couple of times. I sometimes use a little tissue to help me push down on the stamp. And yes, I can see I should have done a little bit more. of seasoning because I can see how the ink got a little pooly on it. Now, this is sort of a distressed look to the stamps in this collection, so don't be surprised when there are little gaps and things. So don't let that throw you off. It is supposed to look a little bit in the way of distress, like there are supposed to be blank spots. So it's mostly just this little banner that I need to get done, and it's not quite supposed to look like that. It's looking that way with those nubbly bits because I didn't season my stamp properly. I've used it a couple times, but I've also washed it, and so because it's so new, it's got that look. But I'm loving how it's looking now. And I went ahead and I stamped that up towards the top of this panel. Let me just move that out of the way, because we're going to do a little bit more decorating on the front and I want more space for that. Let's add our adhesive. And I'm adding a little extra adhesive than I normally would. Some people might prefer to use liquid glue on this, just because it's a cover and you want to make sure it stays stuck down. I'm just using the tape, double-sided tape, my faves. Okay, now make sure we're going the right way up. We're going to attach this to the front. Again, there will be just that tiny little bit of the pattern paper showing all the way around. Live in the moment. Now, remember how I said these two pockets were just kind of free floating here. They're not attached. So instead of, typically what you would do is you would open it up, you would put some glue here, and you would close it up. But what happens then is that you lose a quarter or more inches of your pocket space. And I don't want to do that. I want to get as much space as I can because this is a small space to begin with. So I have cut a couple of pieces of pattern paper, and these are 5.5 by 2 inches, and we're going to crease them, score them in the center. Actually, I don't even need to score them. I can just fold them. I can do that. I'm just going to fold them in half, like so. And that's going to give me a 2 3/4 amount. So if you are somebody who wants to score that, you're going to score at 2 3/4 because we started out with 5.5 by 2 inches. Crease it like that. Then we're going to do a cute little dovetail, and we might as well do the dovetail all at the same time. So we're going to snip in the center about 1/4 inch in, and then we're going to come from the corner to the top of that snip, and then from this corner to the top of that snip, just like that. Let's do the same with the other piece. Layer it up one on top of the other, and we'll get our center snip like that, and then come from our corner to the top, and from this corner to the top. Look at that. We did all of our dovetailing all at once. All right. So this is an interesting way to close up this kind of pocket when it's on the end. So what we want to do is we want to take our adhesive, and we're going to put a little bit of adhesive near the fold, not right on the fold, just near the fold. And then we're going to put some adhesive farther down towards the dovetail. And do the same thing on the other side. And this is going to serve two purposes. Let's do the other one while we're at it. It's going to close our pocket, or close that seam of our pocket, and it's also going to add a little bit of detailing. So, 2 birds, 1 dovetailed piece. All right, let's take the backing off of one. You could use liquid glue for this as well, just don't put the liquid glue near the fold. You want to avoid that because you don't want it to smush inside your pocket. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this sideways. we're going to just line up that fold along the edge of our pocket, and I'm going to kind of put it equal spacing between the zip strip and the bottom of the pocket. Okay, and so now you can see we've created a lovely little contrasting detail on there, but it also serves the purpose of now keeping things from falling outside of that pocket. How cool is that? And it adds a nice little detail to the front as well. So let's do that on the other side. The adhesive that I'm using, this one, my husband buys it off of Amazon. You get 6 rolls in a pack. I can't tell you exactly the price, but it's a reasonable price. That's why he buys it. And let me grab one of the packs. This is the name, whatever that is. So there we go. I'll just hold that up there. Yeah, he orders it from Amazon's. It's not something that Close to My Heart sells like that in just a roll. And yeah. All right. So we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to line it up between the zip strip and the bottom and stick it down. And now we have that same mirrored detail on the right hand side and on the back. How fun is that? And now it's just up to you how much you add into your pockets, how much detail you put on this, because there's lots of lovely spaces you could put photos. There are places where you could do some writing. You could tuck lots of things into the pockets. Now on the back side of here, I'm thinking of putting these pattern papers in here just as a nice little contrast. So these have been cut to 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. And actually, I was trying to decide, because there's this side with the lovely sort of shortbread grid, shortbread and toffee, or I could flip it over and continue with that Limeade green color, and it's got some little detailings down here on the bottom. So in the comments, for those of you who are able to comment on the live Facebook, let me know, should I use the brown grid or should I use that Limeade sort of zigzag with the little details at the bottom? Let me know, and we'll do majority rules on that one. So while we're thinking about that, let's flip over to the inside, and we can totally do some things to put in our pockets. Places to add extra writing. You could make a nice little notebook to tuck in here. So this you could think of as a cover for a notebook. This is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I've just scored it down the center, and then we can go ahead and fold it in half. And if you wanted to add some blank paper or some lined paper inside, and either add a little elastic to hold the pages in, or do a little bit of stitching. I know my mom loves making mini albums and folios and things, and she makes all sorts of journals. And then we can tuck that in one of the pockets, so that can be like our little travel journal where we keep track of what day and where we went and all that kind of thing. Then in another pocket, you could make some layered up pieces of different colors of cardstocks in order to have different places to write things, or to use it as little dividers and put different things from different days you can write on the top. So these are all cut to 2 3/4 wide, and then I have them at 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, 5 1/2, just to create a nice little gradient. And they're just loose, so you can have the front and the back and kind of mix and match. You could add pattern paper in there as well, and just tuck those in another pocket for another option of things. You can leave some blank. You could have a little clip on here to make sure that you could clip something on, a paper clip or a little binder clip. Lots of different things that you can do. And you can also bring in the beautiful sticker sheet and add some embellishments with these stickers because they're nice low profile and they don't take up a lot of space or bulk. And so that's really good when you think about the fact that you're going to be tucking more things in it. Yes, Robin, Dollar Tree has some of those kinds of tape as well, I believe. They don't always have it, which is why I started buying it from Amazon. Deborah says it's $13. Yeah, Deborah gets it there too. So Robin's saying she likes the green. Jean says she's liking the green. Janet says the green. Mum says the green. So we're going with the green. So if you're wondering what that's about, that's the detail on the back here. So let's go ahead and add those on before we forget. And where did the end of my tape go? There it is. Yeah, I like this kind of tape because I am not coordinated enough to use a dispenser. I used to use a particular dispenser back in the day, and it would frustrate me to no end. It wasn't one of the great big ones. It was one of the littler ones. And it was just, I was apparently inept at using them. So there we go. Stick that on. And add this on. Like so. I mean, it's pretty pattern paper to begin with, so you don't really have to add anything, but it's kind of fun to add stuff, right? We like decorating. That's why we're paper crafters. All right, so back over to the inside, we've got our sticker sheet here. We're going to add a few things. I like this one that says our laughs are limitless, our memories are countless, our friendship is endless. And I think that would be awesome if you were using this to maybe journal a friend's road trip or something. And what else have we got? We've got lots of little taggy bits. I was thinking we could take this one and maybe this one that says the details. Got a couple pieces here. And we could maybe over here, or maybe over here. Over here. We're going to do it over here. We're going to add our little wood grain, and then we're going to add the details on there like that, because this is what we're putting in here, right? Is our details or our photos or anything that we've gathered along the way. We could even add a little sticker onto our little journal here, because this is going to be, you know, maybe detailing the things that we did. So let's add this on here. It's the little moments that make life big. There we go. Anyway, we could keep adding and adding and adding, doing all sorts of things. But we want to save some space for when we actually use it. But let's flip over to the back and the front and see what else we've got. We've got, I like this bird cage. I keep trying to think of a way to use that bird cage, and I'm not sure if it really suits what's going on here, but it's kind of a fun style. I'm thinking, down here we've got all these nice little taggies things, and I'm thinking that we could maybe add a few extra little bits. Just to kind of build it up. Let's grab this one. It kind of goes with what's happening. It's got all the little words and things like this one does. And we can kind of layer that on top. Sometimes it's nice when something is pre-printed to add a little something on top, just to kind of give it a little bit more oomph. And then we can add this one that says Epic Story, right? Because, you know, could have been epic. Alrighty. And what else? Live in the moment. Thinking on here, I'm going to add this one that says laugh out loud, because I don't know about you, but when you spend time with other people and go on a nice trip, you tend to do a lot of fun things and do a lot of laughing. And I think that's good for now. We'll leave that. I was just checking. This is one of the zip strips, and it's got some fun things on here. So I'm thinking I may actually use this one, and I'm just going to tear it so that it has that torn look like that. And we can even tear the other side like that. We're going to stick that on. Say amazing. Right there. Nice. Okay. Now we need a way to keep all of our good things inside of this. We could add a clip on the top or a clip somewhere, but I think the easiest way would be to have something that just kind of slides on and off. And what's our go-to thing for something that slides on and off and holds everything together? And that is a belly band. And so I've got a piece of cardstock that is 7.5 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And then I also have a piece of this pattern paper. It's cut to the 7.5 inches, but it's a 1/2 inch, just like a zip strip. We're going to layer those two together. Yes, Deborah, 13 for 6 rolls of the tape. Yep. Robin loves her dispenser. Yeah, I had one. It was one that I like. It was one of those ones where you could put new rolls in. It's just a little plastic thing, just one of those little ones. And when you first put a new roll in, it worked great, and then as you used it, it became less and less great. It would get gummy, and I cleaned it out so many times. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this pattern paper and cardstock belly band, kind of a little bit to the right of center. And then I'm going to wrap it around. I'm not going to crease. I'm just wrapping it around. And one thing I need to keep in mind, if you look at the end here, see how there's, in fact, I'm going to leave a little bit more. See how there's a nice gap there where I've left some room? It's kind of like putting on your buffet pants. I always think of belly bands as needing to have buffet pants where, it's going to end up being bigger than you anticipated. And because we're going to be tucking things in here, if we made this tight as tight could be, we would never get it back on in order to hold things shut. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it back up. Again, I haven't creased it down. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the front of this one and to the back of this one. Oops. Just at the ends, like that. You could use liquid glue. You could use red tape, because sometimes that's good when you're doing things like this where it's going to be under a little bit of strain as time goes on, just like your belt at the buffet. And so we can go ahead and take that, and then we're, oops, sticking to me. And I do tend to do this up in the air so I can kind of have a feel of how tight we're getting this. And so again, I'm leaving that gap on either side, and it's going to probably look ridiculous right now, how much gap there is. But when I let go, because there's already some pressure from the, just the folded pieces of paper and things, it's already going to start popping out, and your belly band is not going to fall off. But we have left a significant amount. I hope you can see that in the video. I can't really see my video. I left a significant amount of gap. Let me move up so I can see what I'm showing you. So that there is space, room for growth. Room for growth. I always liked when the kids were little, especially the boys, and they had those pants that had the waistband with, we called them the cincher uppers. You know, with the elastic and the buttons on the inside, so you could make your pants slightly bigger or smaller. Now, this is our nice little belly band, and we need something to kind of cover that gap. So I'm going back to my stamp set, and I want to pull out this little dragonfly that's here. I think it's kind of cool. It probably has nothing to do with anywhere we would possibly go that we might make one of these for, but I like it. And, you know, that's reason enough to use it, right? We like it. So I'm going to stamp this out, and let me see. What color should we use? We have got Limeade and stuff going on there. We could use black. Yeah, maybe let's go for the Limeade. Let me just grab that. Limeade. We're just going to keep it kind of tone on tone. Plus, like their wings are kind of iridescent-y and see-through-y, so the Limeade is nice and light and kind of has that vibe. So let's go ahead, and we're going to need to fussy cut this out, because you knew that was going to happen, right? And that doesn't surprise anybody, I'm sure. Y'all would be shocked if I didn't fussy cut something. Now, if you want to make this so that there's less chance of it snagging on something, say you're putting it in and out of your purse while you're traveling or what have you, then you may want to stamp this on a circle die cut or something so that it's not going to be snaggy, but I'm going to make it fussy cut. I'm going to get rid of some of that excess paper. When we fussy cut, we just pivot, leave a halo of the background around it, just like you would have if it was a sticker or a die cut. And the only time I really cut close to the line when I'm fussy cutting is when I am doing paper piecing. And then you have to get close and a little bit more detailed. But otherwise, I leave the halo. There we go. Let's add this on with a little bit of foam tape. Which again, if you were trying to keep it low profile so that it didn't snag on anything, don't use the foam tape. But right now it's just sitting on my desk. So foam tape it is. So there we go. We have created our quarter fold folio travel journal goodness. And I just realized why everything looks so dark down here on the video is because I forgot to bring my lights down. Excellent. So sorry about that. I bet that just brightened everything up there for a second. Because I just brought my lights down from way up high. So, you know, those are the days. If you ever notice that it's a bit dark, just say, hey, Monica, check your lights. All right, so we have got our quarter fold folio created using pattern paper from the Skylark collection, which is still available until the end of January. We've got our belly band on there, and we're just going to slide that off. And, of course, the bottom is bulkier. So that's a good actually way to measure is to go around the bulky part at the bottom and add a little bit more. But it came off, no problem. We've got our stamped image from that Skylark stamp set. Okay, we've gone blurry again. Let's see if we can get it to focus. Concentrate. No, it's not going to do it. You guys ever play the Bop It? Our Bop It says, focus, concentrate when you make a mistake. Then we've got that folded up pocket that's naturally created across all four of those different sections. We've added in the detail of these dovetailed pieces to create the closure for the ends of our pocket, and also to add some nice detail, adding on some stickers, zip strips. We've got some things in the pockets. We've got our little folded part here, and we could stitch in some paper for taking notes. or you can even just add in a little notebook. And then, of course, some other little bits. And you can put whatever you want into those pockets. Lots of scope for creating there. And then here on the back, we can even add in some stickers or maps or ephemera from our travels. We could add in photos, lots of different things there as well, journaling, and a nice little spot in the center for some good photos and things as well. And then I like that idea of using a 4x6 flip flap on your layout when you get home and you've made a nice layout, and you could tuck this right into that flip flap on the outside of your layout so you can pull it out and remember all the fun things that you did when you were traveling. And we've got our lovely little belly band with our stamped dragonfly on there to close it all up. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that interesting, funful technique for creating a little folio and keeping track of your travels or whatever. It could be a nice little grandma brag book too. And we will be back on at 11:30 for Chat and Craft. So we'll see you then. Toodaloo. Bye.